Hello, welcome back. Today we've got another £200 of 10p's we're going to be looking through, hopefully finding those alphabet 10p's. If we can find some 2019 dated ones, ideally one of the 6 we are still missing. So far we have A, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L and M, N, O, P, R, T, U, V and X. So any of those last 6 would make for fantastic finds. However, the 2019 dated ones are so low minted and hard to find, we have started another 2018 book. This is my third 2018 book. We're not that far off of completing it. All we need are the letters D, J, R and W. So we're actually closer to finishing our third 2018 book than our first 2019 book, which is kind of funny, but there we go. Along the way, if we find any territory coins, world coins, things that shouldn't be there, things of interest and intrigue, that would be very cool too. So let's get into these bags, see what we find today. Okay then, whilst the coin hunt is ongoing, I'm going to be going through some recent comments left on my videos, replying and responding to them. So if you get a random love and like from me on a comment, that I've probably taken a screenshot of it and we'll be using it in one of these future 10p Q&A videos. To get a question to me, just leave an interesting question on in the comments of one of the videos. Anywho, we start with Hyunjinki, who says, what is your key pointers or like spot how to secrecy legitimate coins but have rotation error double die versus those altered / fake coins with rotation errors too? Tell it on your next video for the sake of the newbie on this hobby. So this is how do I identify a fake £2 coin? There are a couple of different ways. Firstly, it's the visual appearance of it. Sometimes the colour of the metals don't look quite right. Then it's the design details. They're either blobby or missing details, or the lines in the Queen's hair are too pronounced because that's not a real coin. It's a very careful balance if you were trying to forge a £2 coin, which I don't recommend, to get it so that the details there, but it's not too ingrained, too standing out, if that makes sense. There's also the sound of it. If you're going through £500 worth of £2 coins, flicking them across your hands, sometimes they sound a bit dull because it's a different kind of metal. The noise they make when they clink against other coins, and it's just practice. In fact, I did a video recently going through all my fake £2 coins, so I would definitely recommend you go and have a look at that, because some of them are more convincing than others. Sometimes I look back and go, is this actually a fake? I'm not 100% sure, but sometimes if there's that sort of gut feeling, having been through so many £2 coins, that okay, I think this one is fake. So yeah, have a look at that video. You can see the wide range of differing fakes that I found over the many years. Guy Drew says, I know you find fake £2 coins every now and again. I was wondering, have you ever found any fake 50p coins? No, I've never found a fake 50p coin. I don't know why that is. I guess, is it too low of a denomination for it to be worth to forge one? How many 50p's do you have to produce to make the same amount of money as you would say faking £2 coins? And I know it's an easy number to make, but that's not what I mean. I mean that obviously these people making these forgeries are selling those £2 coins to other people for, I don't know, £75 for £100 worth of them, something like that. Would someone pay such a high margin for 50p's that they're hard to spend? I'm not sure. Maybe the £2 coins are easier to forge compared to, say, the 50p's as the old round pound coins were before that. Yes, I've not found any fake 50p's. I have actually, although I have seen some fake 50p's at work that have, again, just spotted them because they just sounded weird or they looked a bit weird. The metal wasn't quite right. And then I tested them in our XRF machine. They've come up with very bizarre metal. I think one of them came up as iridium, which is a very valuable metal, bizarrely. It might have just been like a very thick plating of iridium. That's again the only fake 50p's that I've ever seen. Other than the obviously there are the gap fillers, as they're often promoted as. So the Kew Gardens 50p, the Atlantic Salmon 50p, the Aquatics with the lines over the face, they are rather expensive coins. So rather than shelling out to buy one of them or continue to look for it with a gap in your collection, people will sometimes buy those counterfeits specifically to put in their collection as sort of an album filler until they can save up and buy the real thing, or are lucky enough to find the real thing. So again, I've seen a fair few of those, but not during my hunts. Okay, Brad Palmer says, is it just me or is Benjamin Bunny getting scarce considering the mintage figures? Maybe Elmer Fudd has been hunting rabbits again. There's something I have noticed. Well, yeah, so the amount of times that I have 50p hunts where I'll find no Benjamin Bunnies, when previous years I would always find at least one Benjamin Bunny. There were so many of them minted for circulation. So why is the herd, or I don't know what you call a group of rabbits, a warren? Den? I don't. That's 2 weeks in a row I've been confused about terminology and rabbits. I don't know why the herd would have thinned quite as much. Obviously, there are collectors that will keep them in their collection. People who aren't collectors, who just put loose change into pots that they get to sort of save up over time. I do know that I have seen lots of people with collections where they have kept every commemorative they've ever found. So I guess potentially, if you are keeping every Benjamin Bunny you find, which I don't, but not to say that you shouldn't. If that's how you want to collect, you can crack on and collect however you want. There are no rules to collecting, apart from maybe eating the coins. But anyway, we're detracting from the point. So yeah, I do know I have seen people who have got pages of Benjamin Bunnies, but again, with 25 million of them having been produced, you would need an awful lot of people to be keeping all of their Benjamin Bunnies to thin that herd considerably, and is not sort of feeding back into the requirements for more 50p's to be put into circulation either. So if it got to the point where 20 million of the Benjamin Bunnies have been removed from circulation, are we seeing 20 million more 50p's being minted to replace those? Possibly not. It might just be the demand on cash being less than it was back in 2017. Who knows, but an interesting thought. Okay, Dave Bryant says, hi Christopher, if the 13th of April is the Red Arrow Strike your own, what will be on the 7th of May? Regards, kind regards, Angus. So this is my expectation. So I'm going on the 16th of March to get the George Orwell Strike Your Own £2 coin. I'm going on the 13th of April to get the Red Arrows 50p Strike Your Own, because we know it's changing in advance of that. I'm there at 2 p.m. if you want to come along and say hi. On May 7th, it is the 80th anniversary of VE Day. I believe that's the case. You can't book that date at the moment, but I think what will happen is they block that date out to release Strike on the Day tickets to the general public closer to the time. You'll be able to book and go and do the strike on the day. This isn't guaranteed though, this is just my speculation, and everything seems to be leading in that direction, but I wouldn't want to say it's 100%. I'm about 95% certain it's going to happen. So I think on that day it'll be whatever the VE Day anniversary coin is, should the Royal Mint be making one, or some sort of coin that's tied into sort of that could be tied into celebration of the VE Day. So yeah, that's my expectation. That's what I think is happening. It's not guaranteed, so I am going down. The VE Day anniversary is the Thursday, so I'm going to go on the Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, because potentially it could be 3 different Strike Your Owns, and if not, it's still a nice week off work, relaxing and seeing friends and getting some coins. User QT 2L3Z, is that an O or a 0? I think it's an O. 6X says, when does Mary Poppins come out? Can't find out. Mary Poppins is now out. I think it was probably a couple of days after you left that comment that the Mary Poppins 50p came out. We do know quite far in advance usually that coins are being produced, because they get announced through the Royal Proclamation, which you can read on the Gazette's website. I don't know what it's called, the Gazette. I can't think what it's called, but it's very easy. It's in the public domain. I know myself and others quite frequently refresh that page to see if new coins have been announced, but that's our sort of first indication. It gives a brief description, a very vague description of what the coin is going to look like, and sort of the various levels it's going to be struck in, whether it's just printed and circulated gold, silver, yada yada yada. But yes, sometimes it can be a long time from proclamation to actual production, although sometimes things are announced in proclamation, like crumbs, what was the 25th anniversary of the bimetallic £2 coin. There was going to be big sets like we had with the 50 years of the 50p sets, but they never came to fruition, I think because Queen Elizabeth II passed away and there was only so much time to keep making coins, and the Memorial 50p, the Memorial range of coins overtook that, and they must have just cancelled the additional 25 years of the £2 coin set. Right, Anthony Paul Hill says, the curse of the edge hunt strikes again. You should retire that idea. This is one of these divisive things that I do. For those, I'm sure many of you have seen it, during the £2 coin hunts, I will usually look at the edge inscriptions of a bag of £2 coins or multiple bags of £2 coin and try and spot a commemorative by its edge inscription because they're unique to the design. Again, if I don't do it, I get people telling me off because they like seeing the edge hunts. If I do too many in one video, the people who don't like it complain about that. But it's a happy medium. It's normally a maximum 3 bags in a hunt, and I think it's quite fun. And I have found some cool things by the edge inscription in the past, which is kind of cool. Okay, last comment. Hamburger McGrath says, were the Commonwealth Games coins A, minted in numbers proportional to the constituent countries, and B, released in the country of origin, i.e. Scotland released in Scotland, Northern Ireland, etc.? To the best of my knowledge, as far as I'm aware, no, not the case. The proportionality, I'd have to look up the stats. I wouldn't even know. I think I guess what the most populous country of the 4 represented on those coins are, but I wouldn't know how to rank the following 3. And is that going to be in order? I don't know. It's really Wales is quite big, isn't it? So is Northern Ireland going to be less populous? Maybe that's the case. I don't know. I'd have to look into it. But I don't think it was done specifically for that reason. I don't know why. They've all got different mintages as well. One would have thought with 4 £2 coins being released, you just have the same mintage of each of the 4, but maybe there is some credence to that, but I've never heard of it. In all these years, no one has ever told me that is the case. So I guess it's the kind of fact I think I would have picked up by now if it was true. But in terms of were they circulated in the countries of origins, not to my knowledge. Again, I think it's just the same as any coin is put into circulation. Wherever there is demand in the country for new coins, that's where they go, and it's just pot luck whether you get the new commemoratives or, I don't know, a definitive coin, whatever is next out of the cash centres or next out of the Royal Mint's long store. Anyway, with that being said, let's get back to the coins. Well, there we go, our finds for today. Unfortunately, no alphabet MPs, but we've got 2 from Guernsey, both 1992. Very good vintage, if I say so myself. And then 1 from Jersey. What year is that? 2014. Super stuff. So, unfortunately, no alphabet 10p's, but as I keep saying, they are tricky to find. So if you have found one this week, let us know what letter you found and where you found it, just to reassure me and others that they're still out there and worth looking for. As usual, there are links in the description across to my coin collecting Discord server if you'd like to come and join me and other coin collectors over on that, as well as links to my other social media channels and my PO box address if you'd like to write into me, and of course a link to the Britannia Coin Company's YouTube channel, the company I work for as my day job, so please check them out too. All it leaves me to do now though is thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you next time for more coins. Bye.